Alrighty, here are your notes for Unit 5B, Story Problems. So we're going to be doing story problems. All of these story problems are going to involve inequalities. So you're going to have the inequality symbols is greater than, is less than, or is greater than or equal to, is less than or equal to. And we're going to go through the same steps we did for story problems and equations. So let's just read through these steps. Step number 1. You have to read the problem, okay? And you should read it over and over and over until you are able to retell it in your own words. If you can retell the story in your own words, then I would say that you understand what the problem is asking and what it's talking about. Step 2. Identify the question. Find the question, and then that's what your variable is going to be. So find the question and use that for your variable. Step 3, you have to look for important information. Sometimes you need to rewrite the important information or just list it out. Sometimes drawing a picture helps. Step 4, actually write the inequality. Step 5, solve the inequality, which is unwrapping it. And then step 6, make sure you actually answer using words, and that's where you include the units of measure. Alright, let's go through some examples. Hopefully we can get through quite a few, and that'll help you. So here we go. Number 1. Mrs. Heath wants to order DVDs from the internet. Each DVD costs $15.99. That sounds important to me. So each DVD costs $15.99. And shipping for the entire order is $9.99. So $9.99 is the shipping. You only have to pay shipping once because it says it's for the entire order. You're going to pay $15.99 over and over and over depending on how many DVDs you buy. But the shipping is just once. Now apparently Mrs. Heath only has $100 to spend. So the question is, how many DVDs, which I've underlined that's the question, how many DVDs can Mrs. Heath order without exceeding her $100 limit? Alright, so I underlined the question, how many DVDs? So I'm going to use the letter D for the number of DVDs. So I don't know how many DVDs I can buy. I know I have $100, and I'm trying to figure out how many I can buy and pay for shipping. Okay, so basically I'm comparing the cost, what it's going to cost me, to my limit. And I need my cost to stay under my limit or not go any higher than my limit. So I need my cost to be less than or equal to my limit. What's my cost? Well, I'm going to spend $15.99, not just once. I'm going to spend $15.99 over and over and over and over, depending on how many DVDs I buy. So I'm going to have to take this $15.99 and multiply it by D, the number of DVDs. Then, so I have to add, I have to pay for the shipping, which is $9.99. Now, it's not $9.99 for every DVD. It's just $9.99 altogether. And I want this to stay less than or equal to my $100 limit. Alright, so there's my inequality. Now I solve it. Let's try to solve it quickly. Subtract your $9.99 from both sides. That leaves you with $15.99 times D is less than or equal to $90.01. Then divide both sides by your $15.99. And you get D is less than or equal to, and it turns out to be a decimal, 5.629. Okay, so less than, D stood for the number of DVDs. So I have the number of DVDs I can buy has to be less than or equal to 5.6. So less than or equal to 5.6. Alright, I believe that means that Mrs. Heath can buy. So Mrs. Heath can order. Oh, I need to write that a little neater. Mrs. Heath can order, okay, now it says less than or equal to 5.6. So I could order 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 DVDs. So Mrs. Heath can order 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 DVDs and still stay under my limit of $100. So there's my final solution. All right, let's try number 2. Laura has $500 in her savings account at the beginning of summer. She wants to have at least $150 in her savings by the end of summer. She withdraws or takes out $30 from her account every week to pay for her weekly activities. How many weeks can Laura withdraw money from her account? Okay, so I underlined the question, how many weeks? So I'm going to use W for the number of weeks. I don't know how many weeks. So Laura has money in her account, and she's going to take money out every week, but she doesn't want to go any lower than $150. So she has $500 to start. So we're going to compare what Laura has and what she does to her limit. And what Laura does, she can't drop below that limit. So she has to stay higher, greater than, or equal to her limit. She wants to keep enough money in her account. The hardest part is going to be deciding on that inequality. All right, so here goes. She starts out with $500, so that's what I'm going to start with. But she's not going to keep all that money in her account. She's going to take some out. She's going to withdraw, so she's going to take out $30 each week. So $30, not once, but each week. But she wants to keep this greater than or equal to her $150. She does not want to go below $150. So this side has to stay more than this side. All right, let's quickly solve it. Let's make a double sign change. All right, let's subtract 500 from both sides of the inequality symbol. That leaves you with negative 30W is greater than or equal to negative 350. Divide by negative 30. Okay, I'm dividing by a negative, so I have to take this inequality symbol and flip it around. And I get 11.6 repeating. Okay, so W stood for the number of weeks. So the number of weeks has to be less than 11.6. So she could take money out for the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th week. If she goes over 11 weeks, into the 12th week, she'll dip below her $150. So let's see here. Laura can withdraw money. She can withdraw money for 11 weeks at the most. If she goes over that into the 12th week, she'll be taking out too much money and dipping into her savings too far. All right, I hope this is helpful. You're going to have to watch part 2 while I go to see me go through the rest.